Peace never lasts long in the oil fields. Just when Tommy Norris thought he had escaped the grind, the shadows started moving again. Season 2 didn't end the war. It only changed the battlefield. And now, Landman Season 3 isn't asking if Tommy can survive. It's asking what survival is going to cost him this time. Landman Season 3 steps into its darkest and most emotional chapter yet. After walking away from MTex, Tommy Norris believes he has finally reclaimed control of his life. But peace in the oil business never lasts. As he builds CTT Oil alongside his son Cooper, old alliances resurface, dangerous favors come due, and the past refuses to stay buried. Galino's quiet influence tightens, Cammy's high-risk offshore gamble threatens to reshape everything, and every character is pushed closer to the edge. This season isn't about starting over, it's about paying the price for doing so. Family, power, loyalty, and survival collide as Tommy faces the consequences of his choices and the dangerous reality of betting on himself. With tension rising on every front and no clean way out, Season 3 asks one haunting question. Was walking away the bravest move of Tommy Norris's life, or the most reckless mistake he's ever made? Season 3 of Landman opens in a place that feels unfamiliar. Calm, not safe, not hopeful, just calm in the way the air goes still before a storm. Tommy Norris is no longer sitting at someone else's table, answering to board members who never understood the dirt under their boots. He's out. MTex is behind him. The title, the office, the power, all gone. And for the first time in his life, Tommy tells himself that this is freedom. CTT Oil, exploration, and cattle is small, almost fragile, but it's his. Built with Cooper and TL, it isn't just a business, it's a statement. This is Tommy choosing blood over contracts, instinct over politics. There are no polished hallways here, no corporate smiles, just land, machinery, and the kind of risk you feel in your bones. On the surface, Tommy looks lighter. He laughs more. He sleeps a little better. But this show has never believed in clean endings, and neither does Tommy. His smile carries weight. He knows better than to trust happiness. Because even as he steps away from MTex, MTex doesn't step away from him. Cammy is still there, running the company that once consumed his life. Their split wasn't loud or dramatic. It was cold, surgical, and permanent. Season 3 makes it clear that what they had is gone, but what connects them is far from over. Every decision Cammy makes now echoes back to Tommy, whether she wants it to or not. The offshore rig becomes the unspoken threat hanging over everything. It's a gamble so big it could erase her mistakes or crown her unstoppable. And if she wins, it won't just be a business victory. It will be proof that firing Tommy was the right move. That kind of win doesn't come without consequences. Meanwhile, Tommy's new beginning comes with its own dangers. Running a small operation doesn't mean running a safe one. Without corporate armor, every deal cuts deeper. Every mistake hurts faster. And then there's Cooper. Cooper's gift, his unnatural ability to read refineries, to see patterns others miss, has always been a double-edged blade. Season 3 treats it like what it truly is.
This business will bleed you
Power
dry.
attracts attention. The wrong kind. Tommy knows this. He's terrified of this.
You think you understand how this business works?
The teaser trailer for Landman Season 3 arrives not as a reveal, but as a promise. It hints at what is coming without giving everything away. The third season has been officially confirmed by Paramount Plus, while Season 2 is still airing. And this teaser marks the first visual indication that the story will continue beyond the current
chapter. Like a man who knows time is on his side. His charm hasn't faded. His intentions are still unreadable. What's changed is the balance of power. Tommy is no longer protected by MTex's size, and Galino knows exactly what that means. Every conversation with him feels polite. Every favor sounds reasonable. But Landman has taught us one brutal truth. Nothing with Galino is free. Season 3 slowly tightens that noose, forcing Tommy to confront a reality he's been avoiding. You don't walk away from men like Galino. You only delay the bill. At home, the cracks deepen in quieter ways. Angela is still searching for something solid in a world that refuses to slow down. Her need for stability clashes with Tommy's constant motion, even now. Cooper and Ariana's steps toward marriage bring hope, but also fear. Building a future in this world means choosing what kind of life you're willing to risk. And Ainsley's push toward independence shows us that the next generation of the Norris family may not be as willing to carry the same burdens. Season 3 doesn't rush. It watches. It waits. It lets the audience feel the same uneasy calm that Tommy feels. Because underneath this fresh start, something dangerous is forming. Starting over wasn't the end of the story, it was the trigger. And as this season begins, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The farther Tommy runs from his old life, the faster the consequences chase him. Walking away was supposed to simplify things. That was the lie Tommy Norris told himself. Season 3 slowly proves how wrong that belief really was. Because when you leave a powerful system behind, you don't step into peace. You step into exposure. And Tommy has never been more exposed than he is now. CTT Oil. Exploration in cattle begins with optimism, but reality hits fast. Small deals mean smaller margins. One bad call can erase months of work. There is no safety net anymore, no corporate shield to absorb the impact. Every signature is personal. Every loss is felt at the dinner table. Tommy isn't just risking his future now, he's risking Cooper's. And that weight presses on him harder than any boardroom ever did. Cooper, meanwhile, is no longer just the kid with talent. Season 3 treats him like a target. His instincts are sharper than ever, almost frightening in how naturally they come to him. What once felt like promise now feels like inevitability. People start noticing. Not openly, not loudly, just subtle questions. Casual interest, quiet offers that feel harmless until they don't. Tommy sees the pattern forming before Cooper does, and it terrifies him. Because protecting your child from danger is one thing, protecting them from opportunity is something else entirely. This creates a silent tension between father and son. Cooper wants to prove himself. He wants to build something real with Tommy, not just inherit fear. But Tommy has lived long enough to know that in this industry, talent doesn't buy freedom, it buys attention. And attention always comes with a cost. At the same time, Cammy's world begins moving faster and darker. Running MTex alone hardens her. Every decision she makes now is questioned, every risk magnified. The offshore rig becomes more than a business venture, it becomes her identity. She needs it to work, not just for shareholders, but for herself. Because if it fails, it doesn't just collapse MTex. It confirms every doubt she tried to silence when she pushed Tommy out. The tension between Cammy and Tommy doesn't explode. It simmers. They don't chase each other. They orbit. Every success on one side feels like a threat to the other. And deep down, they both know their stories are still tied together, whether they admit it or not. Then there's Galino, moving quietly through both worlds. Season 3 makes his presence heavier without making it louder. He doesn't threaten, he doesn't rush. He offers help at exactly the wrong moments. To Tommy, he speaks of opportunity. To others, he speaks of solutions. And slowly, it becomes clear that Galino isn't choosing sides. He's positioning himself to win regardless of who falls. Tommy starts to realize the truth too late. Leaving MTex didn't free him from Galino's reach. It narrowed his options. And when Galino finally reminds him of old favors, the reminder lands harder than ever. Because this time, Tommy doesn't have a corporation to hide behind. He only has his name, his family, and a company that can't afford war. At home, the emotional cost becomes unavoidable. Angela senses the danger returning before Tommy admits it. The calm she hoped for never truly arrived. It only changed shape. Cooper's future, Ainsley's independence, Ariana's plans. Everything feels like it's standing on unstable ground. And Tommy, once again, finds himself carrying the impossible responsibility of holding it all together. By the end of this section of the season, one thing is clear. Starting over didn't reset the board, it reshuffled the pieces. And now, Tommy Norris is playing a game where every move counts more than ever. Because this time, there's nowhere left to retreat. By the time Season 3 reaches its middle stretch, the illusion of control is completely gone. What once felt like pressure now feels like pursuit. The past is no longer something Tommy can outrun. It's something actively closing in on him. And the most dangerous part is that it doesn't arrive screaming. It arrives smiling. Galino stops hovering and starts moving. Not directly at Tommy, not aggressively, but with precision. People connected to CTT begin showing up in unexpected places. Deals that should be simple suddenly require approval from names Tommy hasn't heard in years. Old favors resurface, repackaged as friendly reminders. Galino doesn't threaten Tommy's family outright. He doesn't have to. He makes it clear that safety is conditional, and conditions can change. This is where Tommy's internal conflict becomes brutal. He started CTT to protect his family, but now every step forward seems to pull them deeper into danger. The question isn't whether he can outsmart Galino. It's whether he can live with what outsmarting him would require. Because winning against someone like Galino means becoming colder, harder, and more ruthless than Tommy wants to be anymore. Cooper, meanwhile, steps into his own shadow. His confidence grows, and so does his independence. He starts making calls without Tommy. Small ones at first, reasonable ones. And the terrifying part is that he's right. His instincts keep paying off, but each success puts him more firmly on the radar of people who see him not as a person, but as an asset. Tommy recognizes the signs immediately. He's watching his son walk the same road he once did, only faster. The tension between them finally breaks the silence. Father and son clash, not over money, but over control. Cooper doesn't want to live scared. Tommy doesn't want to bury another version of himself inside his child. Their arguments aren't loud, they're heavy, filled with things neither of them knows how to say. And for the first time, Tommy has to confront the possibility that protecting Cooper might mean letting go. Cammy's storyline accelerates in parallel. The offshore rig doesn't just test her leadership, it tests her identity. Pressure from investors mounts, public confidence wavers. Every delay feels catastrophic. Cammy becomes sharper, more isolated, more willing to cross lines she once hesitated near. The woman who fired Tommy to save MTex now risks losing herself to keep it alive. And as the rig's fate hangs in the balance, her path begins drifting back toward Tommy's in ways neither of them can ignore. Angela's longing for stability finally demands answers. She can feel the cycle repeating, and she refuses to pretend otherwise. Season 3 gives her agency, not as a victim of Tommy's choices, but as someone deciding how much chaos she's willing to live with. Her emotional distance becomes a mirror Tommy can't avoid. He's trying to build a future, but he's still fighting the same ghosts. And then there's the moment everything shifts. A single decision, one made quietly, almost casually, sets off consequences no one can fully contain. A deal goes through that shouldn't have. A trust is misplaced, a warning is ignored, and suddenly, the stakes jump from personal to irreversible. The kind of mistake that doesn't explode immediately, but instead waits, growing heavier with every passing day. By the end of this section, Season 3 makes its promise clear. This is no longer about starting over, it's about accountability. Every choice Tommy has made, every compromise, every delay, every alliance is coming due. And as the past stops waiting and starts collecting, one truth becomes unavoidable. Tommy Norris may have escaped his old life, but he brought its consequences with him. By now, Season 3 no longer feels like a slow burn. It feels like gravity. Everything that has been drifting toward impact finally starts accelerating, and no one can stop it. The calm that once existed is completely erased. Every storyline tightens, every relationship strains, and the cost of every decision becomes painfully clear. Tommy realizes too late that neutrality is no longer an option. Staying small doesn't mean staying invisible. Galino forces the issue without ever raising his voice. A final favor is called in, framed as cooperation rather than coercion. Refusing it would mean risking everything Tommy built with CTT. Accepting it would mean crossing a line he swore he never would again. And the cruel truth is that Galino knows Tommy well enough to predict the choice before it's made. This decision changes Tommy, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, devastating one. The part of him that believed he could build something clean begins to disappear. He becomes sharper, more guarded, more distant. The man who wanted peace starts preparing for survival. And survival, in this world, demands sacrifices. Cooper feels the shift immediately. He sees his father becoming someone familiar and frightening. Their relationship enters its most dangerous phase, not because of hatred, but because of understanding. Cooper knows exactly why Tommy is doing what he's doing, and that knowledge creates a rift that neither of them knows how to cross. The closer Cooper gets to proving himself, the farther he drifts from the protection Tommy once offered. Meanwhile, the offshore rig finally reaches its breaking point. The outcome, whatever it may be, reshapes everything. For Cammy, it becomes the defining moment of her career. If it succeeds, she gains power beyond what she ever imagined. If it fails, the fallout is immediate and unforgiving. Either way, her path slams directly into Tommy's. Their separation no longer protects them from each other. Business, history, and unresolved emotion collide, forcing both to face the damage they caused. And the damage still coming. Angela's patience runs out. Stability can't exist in half measures, and Season 3 refuses to let her settle for less. Her choices ripple through Tommy's world in unexpected ways, reminding him that consequences don't only come from enemies. Sometimes they come from the people who finally stop waiting for you to change. Ariana and Cooper's future becomes uncertain under the weight of everything surrounding them. Love feels fragile when danger feels permanent. Plans that once felt exciting now feel reckless. And Ainsley's growing independence shows just how much the family has already changed, whether Tommy is ready to admit it or not. By the end of this section, alliances have shifted, trust has fractured, and the illusion of control is completely shattered. Season 3 makes it brutally clear that no one escapes untouched. The board is set, the pieces are in motion, and the final outcomes are no longer theoretical. They're inevitable. Because when powerful people stop waiting and secrets stop staying buried, the collision isn't a question of if. It's only a matter of when. Season 3 reaches its final stretch without offering relief. There is no sudden rescue, no clean reversal, no moment where everything clicks back into place. Instead, Landman does what it has always done best. It forces its characters to sit inside the consequences of their choices and live with what they've created. Tommy Norris stands at the center of it all, not as a victim, but as a man finally facing the full weight of his decisions. Starting over gave him hope, but hope in this world is dangerous when it blinds you to reality. The choices he made to protect his family pulled them closer to the fire instead of away from it. And now, he understands something he's been avoiding since the very beginning. There was never a way to win without losing something first. Galino's true position becomes undeniable. He was never an ally. He was never an enemy either. He was a test, a living measure of how far Tommy was willing to go. And by the end of the season, Tommy realizes the most frightening truth of all. Galino didn't force him to cross lines. He simply gave him the opportunity. The rest was choice. Cooper's journey reaches a turning point that defines who he will become. His gift no longer feels like a curse or a miracle. It feels like responsibility. Season 3 strips away his innocence without taking his integrity, forcing him to decide whether he will repeat his father's path or break from it. The outcome isn't easy, and it isn't painless, but it's earned. For the first time, Cooper isn't just reacting to the world around him. He's choosing how he wants to stand in it. Cammy's story closes the season in a place that feels both powerful and isolating. Whatever the result of the offshore gamble, she pays for it in ways that can't be undone. Success doesn't heal old wounds. Failure doesn't erase ambition. Her arc becomes a quiet reminder that winning in this world often means standing alone at the top, surrounded by the damage left behind. Angela, no longer waiting, chooses clarity over comfort. Her decision isn't dramatic, but it's definitive. She reclaims control of her life in a way that forces Tommy to confront what love looks like when it stops making excuses. Ainsley steps fully into her independence, no longer protected by denial. And Ariana and Cooper face their future with eyes wide open, aware that love in this world requires courage as much as trust. The final moments of Season 3 don't explode. They settle, like dust after a collapse. There is no victory speech, no celebration, just reflection. Tommy, quieter than we've ever seen him, finally understands what this season has been asking all along. Starting over wasn't the bravest thing he ever did. Living with the consequences of that choice is. And as the screen fades, Landman leaves us with one undeniable truth. In this world, you don't escape the cost of survival. You only decide when you're ready to pay it.